The Silent World. Welcome to Unique English Stories. Daniel was an ordinary man, living in a world ruled by technology. Like most people, he depended on the internet for everything: work, entertainment, socializing, and even basic survival. His life revolved around screens. His mornings began with the soft glow of his phone, checking notifications before even getting out of bed. Emails, social media, bank alerts. It was a never-ending loop. As a software engineer, he spent his workdays glued to his laptop, and during breaks, he switched to his tablet for videos. Even during meals, he scrolled through memes, news, or Instagram stories. Everything in his life was digital. Food, ordered through an app. Entertainment, endless scrolling on Netflix and YouTube. Money, virtual transactions, cash felt ancient. Friends, mostly online, chatting in group texts or reacting to each other's posts. Daniel never questioned this reality. It felt permanent, something that would always be there. But one ordinary morning, everything changed. It started as a small glitch. His phone wouldn't refresh messages. Frustrated, he checked the Wi-Fi, no signal. His mobile data, dead. Even his laptop, his last hope, refused to load anything. At first, he assumed it was a temporary outage. But then he noticed something eerie. The silence outside. No ringtones. No music from car speakers. No one walking around with their eyes glued to their screens. His neighbor, Mrs. Patel, stood outside, looking confused. "Is your internet working?" she asked. Daniel shook his head. The streets filled with anxious people, desperately tapping at their dead phones. Some ran to cafes and offices, hoping for Wi-Fi. But as the hours passed, realization hit. The entire internet and all mobile networks had shut down. Uneasiness spread. With no internet, there was no news, no updates, no way to contact loved ones. The world had never felt this quiet, and for the first time, Daniel felt completely alone. By evening, panic set in. People rushed to supermarkets, buying supplies in bulk. But soon, a new problem arose. Digital payments didn't work. Daniel stood at a grocery store counter with a basket of food. When he tapped his phone to pay, the cashier shook his head. "Only cash. Cash." Daniel barely used it anymore. He fumbled through his wallet, finding only $2,000. He quickly calculated, if this situation lasted longer, he had to spend wisely. Banks shut their doors. ATMs stopped working. Even the wealthy, who had millions in digital accounts, were now just as helpless as everyone else. Money had lost its power. Then came a terrifying realization. He had no way to contact his parents. They lived 200 miles away, and he had never bothered to memorize their phone numbers. His entire contact list was stored online, now as unreachable as the stars. The silence was no longer peaceful. It was suffocating. With no work emails or online meetings, Daniel was left with nothing to do. Boredom became a monster, gnawing at him. He had spent his life drowning in content, music, videos, memes. But now there was only silence. Restless, he walked around the city, and for the first time, he truly saw the world around him. People sat in groups, talking instead of texting. Kids played with sticks and stones instead of staring at screens. Strangers helped each other, relying on real human connections. But survival was getting harder. His $2,000 was running out fast. He needed food but had no money. Then he had an idea. Bartering. He noticed a shopkeeper struggling to fix a broken shelf. "I can help," Daniel offered. The man hesitated but eventually agreed. After an hour of hammering and fixing, the shelf stood steady. In return, the shopkeeper gave him bread and some canned food. It felt strange, earning food with his hands instead of swiping a card. Daniel knew he couldn't stay in the city forever. He had to reach his parents, but without Google Maps, buses, or online tickets, traveling felt impossible. Desperate, he searched an old library and found a paper map, something he hadn't used since childhood. He traced the roads with his fingers, planning a route. He asked old shopkeepers for directions, writing down their advice. Finally, he started walking. The journey was brutal. Food was scarce. Gas stations had run dry. Trains weren't running since their ticketing systems were digital. He had to trade labor for meals, helping a farmer with his crops in exchange for food. At night, he rested in abandoned buildings, staring at the star-filled sky. Without city lights, the stars were brighter than he had ever seen. One evening, he met Lily, a journalist also searching for her family. She had a bicycle, survival knowledge, and a strong will to adapt. Together they traveled, helping each other. They found people forming small communities, trading goods, growing food, and reviving old skills. The world wasn't ending. It was resetting. On the 10th day, they reached a military checkpoint. Soldiers blocked the road, telling people to turn back. Lily, being a journalist, overheard a conversation. The truth was worse than anyone imagined. This wasn't an accident. A massive cyber attack had been detected, threatening to destroy all global data. The only way to stop it was to shut everything down. Governments had pulled the plug, but they hadn't told the people, fearing mass hysteria. Daniel and Lily faced a choice: stay silent or tell the world. They found an old radio station and started broadcasting. The internet didn't fail, it was turned off. They also painted messages on city walls. Technology controlled us, now we control our lives. After 15 days, Daniel finally reached his parents. They had survived, living in a small village where people shared food and skills. The world had changed forever. Some people still hoped for the return of technology, but others saw this as a second chance. A world where people lived with technology, not under it. Daniel had learned more in these 2 weeks than in his entire digital life. He adapted without the internet. He survived without digital money. He discovered the power of real human connection. As he sat with his parents, watching the sun set over the quiet countryside, he realized something. The world had gone silent, but in that silence, he had finally learned how to live. What about you? If the internet disappeared tomorrow, how would you survive? Would you feel lost without your phone? Or would you find a way to adapt? Do we control technology, or does technology control us? Share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe and like me for more videos.